guys, I am Alyssa Kaye Dacanay, a student from BSN 3 Imogene King from Larma Colleges. And for today, I'm going to talk about cancer. So, I'm going to talk about a lot about cancer, how is cancer formed, what are the properties of cancer like that. So, sit back, relax, and lend me your ears, and I hope at the end of this video, we're going to learn something. So what comes into our mind when we hear the word cancer is that it is deadly, it is very dangerous, it's like a termination stage. It's like the end of the world because this cancer has no cure yet. So to start with, let's talk about first the normal cell or the healthy cell. So our body is made up of millions and millions and millions of cells, millions of tiny cells. And these cells in our body keeps on growing, multiplying, dividing all the time. They keep on producing new cells. So they grow, they divide, they produce new cells, and then eventually when they reach their limit of age, they will eventually die. So that's the normal process of healthy cell. They grow, they divide, produce new cell, and then later on they will die. That one is for the normal cell. So what happens now if you have the abnormal cell? So when you have the abnormal cell, the cell will not die. The cell became mortal and they're growing rapidly and they're growing faulty. That's why it is not like the bacteria or the virus, fungi like that, that if they invade you, they will the doctors will just give you some medicines for the bacteria or the virus to die, and then they will eventually cured. But in cancer cell, it is not, because it is your own cell. It was just triggered or modified in such a way that it gives rise to enormous change in the cell property, and that different property of cell will eventually the one that will kill you. For us to better understand it, here I'm going to show and draw some illustrations of how these normal cell and abnormal cell work. For here, we're going to draw a cell. Then can you see? I cannot. Makita. You can see it. I cannot see it. There, normal cell. There's the normal cell. Has nucleus inside. And then this normal cell will keep on will undergo the process of growth and division. So this normal cell will divide into another two, and then we'll go to divide again, and divide, and then divide again. Then our body makes sure that our cells won't grow too much, won't divide too much cells, because as they say, lahat ng sobra masama. So there will be a hormone called the growth regulation. Can you see it? Growth regulation. This growth regulation will try to stop the production of these cells. They were going to stop the division of the cells so that it won't grow too much. There is a growth and division of cells. There is a production of new cells. Of course, there must be also the death of a cell. There must be the old cell must be killed. The killing properties of a cell, it is called the killing pathway, because old cells, some cells are meant to die. Yes. So these are the cells that are meant to die, and it is called the killing pathways. I know you cannot see it. It's called killing pathways. it is where a cell, it is when the cell must die. So they undergo the killing pathway. As I said a while ago, that's how a normal cell works. This normal cell, they will grow and divide, and then there is a growth regulation, a hormone that will control. It is the hormone that will control the growth of the cell so that they won't go on extra amount. Yeah. And then there is also killing pathways because cells are meant to die. So these killing pathways are meant to kill and for a cell to die because it is how the normal cell works. But for the abnormal cell or for the cancerous cell, everything becomes faulty. These normal processes of a normal cell is not being followed. In an abnormal cell, there will be an error on the growth regulation and on the killing pathways. So these growth regulation and killing pathways are both became faulty. I said a while ago, this growth regulation is responsible for controlling the production, for controlling the division of cells, so it won't produce a lot of extra new cells in our body. So in an abnormal cell, if this becomes faulty, if this growth regulation has an error to it, it doesn't work the way it was supposed to do, the way it's supposed to work, then there will be no controlling of the production of cells. The hormone cannot be able to do its job, so there will no controlling now of the production of new cells. So what happens now? There will be a production of new cells, there will be division. There's nothing to stop the division of these new cells, and then there will be a lot of extra production of new cells. Cancerous cell, it is not only the growth regulation that becomes faulty, that becomes damaged, but also the killing pathways is also damaged. The killing pathways becomes faulty. If these killing pathways becomes damaged, becomes faulty, then there will no be something that will kill now these cells, these old cells. So there will no be dying of cells already, and these cells becomes there for the rest of your life because no one's going to kill it because your killing pathway is damaged. These two alterations in the normal cell, the alterations in the growth regulation and the alterations in the killing pathways, will now lead to a massive growth of the cell. It will lead to a massive division of the cell, into the immortality of the cell, since the killing pathway cannot be able to kill those cells inside our body. It will result now in a production of tumor cells. Another functionality of this abnormal cell is that they can transfer, they can move from one place to another place that will now cause another type of tumor. Now they became more dangerous because they became invasive to our tissues, they invade our tissues, and then they move from one part of our body to another part of our body and then grow another kind of tumor on that part of your body. This tumor cell or this abnormal cell keeps on growing and growing and in a massive production, and then it starts to proliferate, it starts to go another part of your body, then that's what we call now cancer cell. So a normal cell becomes an abnormal cell or a tumor cell if this normal growth regulation failed and killing pathway becomes ineffective. Now let's talk about the reasons why, the factors, the causes, and why is it that there's an error, there's a damage on the growth regulation and on the killing pathways. Faultiness on this growth regulation and killing pathways is mainly caused by a change inside the nuclear region. We all know that every cell has a nucleus inside of it, and that nucleus contains all the chromosomes, the DNA that carries all the instructions that your body needed to maintain its form. If this DNA or are being changed or altered, then the instructions that will be given to the whole system will also be changed and altered. That's the reason why the growth regulation and the killing pathways were altered. Chromosomal change inside the nucleus is caused by different and several factors. So we're going to talk about those factors. Factor is the mutation. So this can cause by either chemical or the physical carcinogen. Chemical carcinogen like vinyl chloride and benzene. Then the physical carcinogen, an example of this is the UV radiation. So these carcinogens are this can change or modify the nucleotides in the DNA that can trigger the cell to become malignant cell. Our eating habits, our lifestyle, our environment can also be a contributor for us to have these abnormal cells and cancer cells, because these can also interfere with the presentation of these chromosomes. Another factor or another cause of these cancer cells is due to infectious agents like virus. So these viruses can also change the chromosome sequence inside normal cell into something else, which can trigger the cell to become a deadly type. So virus can also be a mediator to that. Let's have an example of a virus. These viruses are the human papilloma virus, or the HPV, or the hepatitis C. So these are the common viruses that can cause cancer cells. Another cause is heredity. So we can also inherit these cancer cells and can be passed from generation to another generation. Since we are talking about DNA, chromosomes, it has something to do with the DNA, our chromosomes, our genes. So it can also be passed through. Are the reasons or the factors on why is there a faulty job happening at the growth regulation and killing pathways of a normal cells that causes now to have tumor cells. So again, let's enumerate those factors. So there's a mutation through the chemical and physical carcinogen. Another is caused by our lifestyle, our eating habits, and then our environment. Another cause is due to infectious agents like virus. And lastly, it is because of inheritance. That's all for now. We're going to see each other again on the next video, because in the next video we're now going to talk about the different cell properties of a cancer cell. Bye!